going on, everyone? Just want to make sure we're live with audio. All right, cool, perfect. All right, everyone. So, still early in the video, but I just wanted to say, in a previous video, I asked you guys to, write any comments down in a previous video, and that for this video, I would then answer all those questions. And got a decent amount of questions, I should say, and it's much appreciated. And just want to in general say to you guys, I really do appreciate you guys, being subscribed to the channel and just interacting and everything. It's much appreciated. I did not think I would get to 700 subscribers. I really didn't. I was at 200 subscribers. When was it? September 2019 was when I hit 200 subscribers. So in the last 2 years, I've gotten 500 subscribers versus 200 subscribers. It took me, I think it was 4 or 5 years. So just again, I really do appreciate it. What I'll do is I'll give you guys towards the end of, answering all these questions, I'll give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of like what to expect with the channel and everything. But for now, I'm going to be answering all of your guys' questions. All right, so let's begin. So the first question, Felix asks, favorite Swedish movie? So good question. Swedish movie, I haven't really seen too many Swedish movies, to be honest. I've seen some Ingmar Bergman movies, and I think he's a good director for sure. I would have to say, though, the one that comes to mind and the one that I love, and probably the only Swedish film I own, unfortunately, so far, is The Seventh Seal. That's probably my favorite so far. I am planning to get the Ingmar Bergman Criterion collection. I think it's like his 30-plus movies that he made. I am planning to buy that down the line and then watch all of his movies because such a great director. And I know that, most of his movies, if not all of them, are critically acclaimed. So Seventh Seal, to answer the question, long-winded as it is, Seventh Seal is my favorite, but that might change in the future. We'll see. But I do love the Seventh Seal, so I don't know if that will. Next up, Marvel Fan 45 asks, he says, hello, my friend. I have a few questions. What movie YouTubers do you enjoy watching and tend to go back to? What's your favorite review you've made? And what's the movie you would recommend to everyone? Stay safe, my friend. Excited to see the video. First, I wanted to say, Marvel Fan 45, thank you very much for, commenting. As always, it's very appreciated to hear, your questions and obviously your comments. To answer the first question, what movie YouTubers do you enjoy watching and tend to go back to? So I actually try to watch a lot of YouTubers that also are into movies, or movie critics. The reason for that is so that way I have like a wide range of, hearing people's opinions and everything, because, knowledge is power. So some of the ones that I watch personally are Deep Focus Lens, Misfit Pond, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Jen. Some other ones that come to mind, I do watch Channel Awesome sometimes from time to time. Black Desk Media I do watch as well. I would say there's just so many. Looking at my list also, Filmento, Red Letter Media, I'm a pretty big fan of. Larry Chilliboy Productions is what he's known now as. Lindsay Ellis. Again, I just try to watch all of these different kinds. Like I try to watch more of like the mainstream ones as well as like the more like indie based ones. Because that's the thing, you'll notice that like certain channels are more into the big movies, and then you'll have other people that are more into the smaller ones. So I just try to have a variety of both because, again, knowledge is power. But all right, so that was a good question. And then next one, what's your favorite review you've made? That's a really good question. So I would have to say my favorite review is probably, it was part 2 of my top 50 films of the 2010s. I really liked what I did at the end of that, unveiling my number 1. That might be my favorite review thus far. Although recently there have been some other ones that are up there, like my Fast and Furious 9 one or F9, whatever it's called. That one's up there too. And then I also am very proud of like my Tom and Jerry one and everybody wants, or no, she wants. Whatever they Edison Ray one, but those ones I like too because it's like they're short to the point. The movie Marvel Fan 45 also asks, What's the movie you would recommend to everyone? So everyone's tastes are different, but I would definitely say that recently, if there's a movie that I've seen for the first time that really impressed me, I saw it a couple months ago. It's called Mishima. Not many people I feel like have seen it other than Letterboxd. Like if you go on IMDb, it's like only 10,000 people have seen it. But I would recommend Mishima, Life in Four Chapters. It's a Paul Schrader film. Really good. I don't know if you've seen it, Marvel Fan 45, but if you haven't, highest recommendation. All right. And then next up, we have Jacob Stanfield. Jacob Stanfield says, what is the most confusing, disorienting, or trippy movie you have seen? I would give a shout out to Mulholland Drive, Altered States, Videodrome, and Perfect Blue. Congrats on the 700, by the way. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But firstly, I wanted to talk about the ones that you mentioned. I love Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive is one of my all-time favorite films, no question. Altered States, I need to actually put that on my list, my watch list, because I have never heard of it, but I'm down to check it out. Videodrome, I love Videodrome. I think Videodrome is amazing. Perfect Blue, I still need to watch. Believe it or not, I've not seen Perfect Blue, but I do need to watch it. I would say the most confusing, disorienting movies. I mean, Mulholland Drive is definitely up there. Like, I'll never forget the first time I saw that movie. But I would also give a huge shout out to like a movie such as The Lighthouse or Mandy. I think Mandy is really like with the psychedelic-esque cinematography. Being John Malkovich, also hands down, easily just one of those movies that's like, what? Hereditary kind of threw me for a loop, which kind of sounds odd, but it did take me for a loop in some regards. But I don't have like a specific one, but I do know that when I think of Trippy, I do think of like Being John Malkovich or Eraserhead. Eraserhead's another one. Lost Highway. David Lynch, pretty much David Lynch. If you go with him, he makes these disorienting, trippy movies that, for me, just it's great to just watch him, let it take you in. Another one, 2001: A Space Odyssey. That movie's amazing. I love 2001: A Space Odyssey. See, I don't have a specific one. I just have like a bunch. Excuse me. But yeah, good question, Jacob. Next up, West Productions. Congrats on 700 subs, man. Your content I know is great. Here's my questions. What is your favorite movie franchise? What is your favorite 80s movie? And what is your favorite fantasy movie? Excellent questions. So to answer the first question, what is your favorite movie franchise? So I would say Lord of the Rings. See, it's tough. I don't really have a specific one, but Lord of the Rings I would definitely say is top 3, hands down. The Before trilogy. I think the Before trilogy is great. Very underrated. Not many people talk about it, I feel like, but it's great. Pirates of the Caribbean, I like the first 3. Not a fan of the 4th or 5th, really, especially not the 5th. But I guess I'll give that like an honorable mention. Blade Runner movies. I know it's only 2 movies, but Blade Runner franchise. I mean, I'm huge on that. What is your favorite 80s movie? Speaking of Blade Runner, I would say Blade Runner might have to be my favorite. I love Blade Runner. I think that in terms of an 80s movie, that's the one I usually think about. Raiders of the Lost Ark still also up there. Amadeus as well. But I might have to give that to Blade Runner. I might. And then West Productions, last question. What is your favorite fantasy movie? So I actually am not going to answer that because I am planning to do a video about what my top 10 favorite ones are. And that would obviously lead up to my number one. So I don't want to spoil that because, again, I feel like that'd be really fun to kind of reveal that. But let me see. Let me go back to the questions. But still good questions. You'll have your answers soon enough because, like I said, I will be doing a video for that for top 10 fantasy movies. But I will say my number one, I feel like some people might be up in arms because you'll see what I'm saying. But I think you'll like it either way. Next up, Tom Collins. Congrats, man. Totally deserve it. My question, and is since I saw that you've seen The Sopranos, what is your favorite seasons and what are your top 5 favorite episodes? So a little bit of a story, Tom. So I have seen The Sopranos. Actually, The Sopranos is one of my most watched videos on here. I need to revisit The Sopranos. I loved The Sopranos when I saw it, but there wasn't really any episodes that stood out other than the finale. the finale stuck with me, and honestly, it's one of my favorite finales ever. But I don't really have a top five. That's why I need to revisit it. And same with what my favorite season was. I think my favorite season, again, I need to revisit it because it's been a little over 3 years. But I believe my favorite season might have been season four. But still, excellent question. I'll give you a more concrete answer when I revisit The Sopranos because I do want to revisit, especially after the disappointment of The Many Saints in New York. Skynet Jen, hey Chad, I actually caught your live stream for a change. Thanks, man. Sergey's in the house. Dude, we need to collaborate again soon. Sooner than later. I need to start sharing our collaboration video because I forgot to do that with the Moneyball one. But I'm glad that, we were able to collaborate with that. That was a lot of fun. Next up, Jacob Martin. First off, congrats on 700 subs. My question, if you were able to go back in time to revisit one movie like it was your first time, what would that special movie be? Oh, boy. Honestly, that's so tough because there are a lot of movies where it would be like that. But I think I might have to go with it's like a draw between three movies. So American Beauty, I think that one might have to be the one that I would love to revisit the first time. Because the first time I saw it, I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I liked it. I liked it a lot, but I was also very sheltered at that point. But it felt like a religious experience, honestly, just watching that movie. Because I watched it right as I graduate high school. So, I felt like I was really able to relate a lot to the main character with that kind of that feeling of what's the next step, what to do next, where's this going. So I was able to really relate to it. I was able to really connect, and I don't know, I'll just never forget watching that movie at 2 a.m. and then when that ending hits, it just it just really kind of overwhelmed me. It was a great experience. I mean, back then I made the idiotic decision of before I saw the movie, I read up on it. So I knew kind of how it ended, which again, I don't know why I used to do that. I really don't. Because now I'm the complete opposite. Now I'm I don't want to read anything. I want to go into a movie open-minded. But that one, and then Mulholland Drive has to be up there too, because I'll never forget Mulholland Drive. Similar experience. I watched it late at night. I was supposed to be studying for a test in college. And instead, I put in Mulholland Drive, and I ended up finishing the whole thing. And the experience of that movie just really kind of overwhelmed me. And instead of focusing on the test the next day, I just couldn't help but think about that movie. It was ingrained in my mind. Again, would not recommend watching that movie for a first time going into a test, but that experience was amazing. And then Gone Girl. Gone Girl was easily one of the best movie experiences ever for me because the unpredictability of that movie just really kind of hit a chord with me and with where I was in life. I was kind of an incel when I watched it, so I kind of misread that movie a bit, but it was still quite an experience. So I would say probably those three, and ironically, those three are my top four. There Will Be Blood, I kind of wish that I watched it under better circumstances because I watched it at the library at school, but those are the ones that kind of come to mind where it's I wish that I could go back in time to revisit those. Excellent question, though, Jacob. Long-winded, I apologize. Next up, Will Rose. Congrats, man. I hope you get a lot more. Will Rose asks, what's your top 5 classic movies and favorite classic directors? Good question. So, top 5 classic movies. I don't really have a top 5 classic movies. I don't because I feel like that kind of fluctuates between person to person in terms of what classifies as a classic. Is it 10 years? Is it 15, 20, 50? Does it have to be 50 plus? But off the top of my head, if I had to think of 5, I would say 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'll go 60s downwards. So I would say 2001: A Space Odyssey. Sunset Boulevard. Citizen Kane. So that's 3. M, the movie M, with Peter Lorre. Very underrated. Nobody talks about it, really. And then for 5th one, let's go with the Charlie Chaplin movie. I would say probably Normally, I would say Modern Times, but I think I might go with Gold Rush. But those are my five. I would say top five classic movies off the top of my head. And then my favorite classic directors. I really like Billy Wilder. I do like Alfred Hitchcock. I know that's a given. Like a lot of people kind of say that, but I do like Billy Wilder and Alfred Hitchcock in terms of classic directors. Sam Peckinpah. I've only seen two of his movies, Straw Dogs and then The Wild Bunch, but I really like his style as well. So I would say, again, I don't have a specific classic director that I like. Kubrick, if you consider him a classic director, I would say he might be my favorite. Um, and then good questions though. Good questions. Um, next up, we have a couple from Felix. So Felix asks a bunch, as I mentioned. So one of the big things that Felix asks, NWR ranked. So I'm assuming that's Nicholas Winding Refn ranked. Nicholas Winding Refn, I am definitely planning to rank his movies. Actually, I've been rewatching his movies. So I've been meaning to do that for over a year, a couple years at least now. And funny story, Bleeder is the only movie I need to watch of his. It's the only one. And my friend actually let me borrow his DVD of it. So, of course, this movie is from another region. And I was like, well, I don't know if it's going to work with my 4K player. I've never actually tried that. So let's see how it goes. Put it in, doesn't work. So I still need to watch Bleeder. After I watch Bleeder, I will definitely rank it. I have the list up on Letterboxd, but it's private. But I am planning to obviously release it, in the near future. Obviously once I see Bleeder and once I film it and everything. But yeah, I'm definitely planning to do that. Felix also asks, do you watch any film YouTubers? Yeah, as I mentioned with whose question was it? Let me get back. As Marvel Fan 45 asked. So yeah, I do watch other film YouTubers. Yeah, as I mentioned, Deep Focus Lens, Misfit Pond, Double Toasted. I forgot to mention them. Double Toasted I watch. Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Jen. Jeremy Jen and Chris Stuckman, I feel like most people watch. I do like their takes on things. Like I find them to be interesting and a fresh opinion. But yeah. Levy Brace, what is your dream movie to make? Ooh, it's a good question. To be honest, I would say, yeah, that's a really good question. I would have to say, like, I would always want to stick to the art house genre of like, visual storytelling based movies. But I will say, I think one of the big dream movies that I would have to make is a movie that takes place underwater, like deep, 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 deep down in the ocean. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, when I was a young kid, that was my favorite movie. That movie always fascinated me because I always found it to be terrifying. Like, how underwater, you go deep far enough, it's like you don't know what's down there. You don't know what animals are down there. There's no light and everything. And it terrifies me, honestly. Going down somewhere and not knowing where you are and what's around you, that's just terrifying. And so I would really like to make a movie that's about that, about going down in the depths of, underseeing everything. And I would even want to have like a squid. Like, again, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, if people have seen it, it's a movie that has that. And it's a movie that, it's not a horror movie, but even still, I just kind of think about that movie and just like the concept and how it is kind of a scary thing. Complete darkness and just having it where there's like, you don't know what kind of animals around you. It's just terrifying me. So I would say a movie that takes place underwater. Although I feel like if I was directing that, I would be like, okay, I don't want to use CGI because it will be, kind of plasticky looking. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but I wouldn't want to go underwater either. So, so I don't know. Maybe I'll just write the script for that. I don't know. Good question. Felix, is it anything wrong with style over substance? I don't think there's anything wrong with style over substance. Honestly, this is a good question because it's something that someone on Letterboxd and I were talking about this with actually Nicholas Winding Refn. And if you have a style, which let's be honest, a lot of people that are directors unfortunately don't. If you do have a style, though, it kind of gets integrated into the content. And if it gets integrated into the content, then I feel like it makes it a deeper meaning, especially if you're someone that's seen a lot of this director's work and you're able to pinpoint their ideas and everything. Um, but I don't know. I feel like style kind of complements into substance. Because think about it, like a Marvel movie, like let's say like Ant-Man. Ant-Man, there's no substance, but there's also no style really. So it's like it's just a bland movie, and it's like, okay, do you want just like a bland product-based movie, or would you rather have a movie that has a lot of style? And maybe it doesn't have a lot of substance for you. Maybe you didn't get a lot out of it, but at least you were able to be engaged. I don't know. Skynet Jen, any plans to submit your future films to film festivals? Good question. So I actually am thinking about doing that for my next one, because my next one I'm planning to do probably filming it in a month or two, but I am planning to do a movie that is dealing with I don't want to spoil anything, but it's about like a guy who wakes up in the middle of like the woods. You know, he's disoriented and everything, and basically it's about him trying to like survive. So that movie I am planning to try to release at a film festival. And honestly, Mortality and Wilpin Drive, my one friend actually knows someone that works at a festival. And that person that works at a festival actually saw Wilpin Drive and really, really liked it. So those two I still need to submit. It's like a $30 fee though. But I do need to get around to that just so that way, you know, I mean, who knows? My only thing is that those movies use copyrighted music. So that's the only thing where it's like, I don't know. But good question. Felix also asks, movie recommendation, You the Living from 2007, one of my all-time favorites, and one of the best and visually stunning movies out there. Never heard of it, but that is one of the reasons why it will be added to my list for sure. I'm excited to actually check that out. I'm going to add that to my Letterboxd watch list. Felix also asks, is Edgar Wright overrated or underrated in your opinion? I wouldn't say either. Actually, no, I would say more underrated because I feel like not many people talk about Edgar Wright. I only really see his mentioning on Letterboxd. Like the average person doesn't really know who Edgar Wright is, and if they do, they know him through Baby Driver, not like Hot Fuzz or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So I would say he's kind of underrated. I like Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's someone that's really grown to be, one of my not absolute favorites, but I really do like him. I think what he does with editing, cinematography, and soundtrack is just honestly amazing. And then it looks like the last question on here. Is this the last question? Yeah. Okay. Saving the best question for last. Felix, what are your opinions on pirating? Oh, gosh. This is going to take an hour. That's an excellent question, Felix. When I saw you ask that question, I was like, oh, my goodness. This is going to be a lot to talk about. So, pirating. To be honest, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, I can't lie. Like, I don't want to subject myself to court or anything in case, anyone is watching it that, has laws, degrees of laws or anything. But I will say that I think that it's something that I don't condemn. Like, I do know some people that also are pretty big film buffs and critics, and they are against it. They say that, it's essentially having it where you're taking money away from the creator in the studio. And because of that, then they're not going to have a profit. If they don't have a profit, there's not going to be a sequel, or, they're just not going to make money. They may not be able to make ends meet. I get that viewpoint. But at the same time, for me, I also kind of realize that there are a lot of times where there's movies where you can't find them. The only way you're able to find them is, either really, really kind of digging deep onto like YouTube where it's like maybe someone submitted it and then before it gets taken out, you can watch it, or literally you have to go on like a pirate website. There are many movies where that's the case. The Cook, the Thief, her lover, I forget the full title, but that movie, I wanted to watch it. I remember hearing it, a recommendation under a YouTuber who said it was kind of like Hereditary. And I was like, okay, that sounds intriguing. Where can I find it? And I couldn't find it anywhere. The only way I was able to find it in terms of physical media was overseas. And I was like, well, my player is not going to work with that. So I literally had to download it. That's the only way I was able to. So I think that there's no right or wrong. It's not a black and white issue. It's not one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's right, or oh, it's not. It's not like that. I can't lie. I do use it quite a bit sometimes, just because there's a lot of times where you'll have directors where you can't find their movies. You can't. There's no way you can find them other than doing that. Like Steven Soderbergh, he's a prime example. Like I would say at least a half a dozen of his movies you can't find anywhere. You have to go on there in order to even watch them. And so it's like for myself, I'm a completionist, so I'm like, well, I want to watch all his movies in order to do a ranking list. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to do this. So basically, to sum it up, I'm not against it, but I'm also not 100% for it. I will say I did see. It's going to sound weird. I did see somewhere that Will Up and Drive was pirated. Like I did see it. I think it was on Pirate Bay or something. But I did see that Will Up and Drive was on there, like my movie, and I wasn't angry. If anything, I was just kind of like confused because I was like, it's on YouTube for free. But then I was also happy because I was like, wow, like someone's actually pirating my stuff. So, but that's just me. Like, obviously, if I was doing stuff for a profit, like obviously I would want to get every single dime. But the reality is that in today's day and age, it's just kind of part of the industry. Um, so yeah, again, it's a topic video for another time. Um, that's the best way of explaining it, I suppose. But like I said, I know a lot of people that use it all the time. For me, I try to go to the library to get movies. I try to watch movies on like streaming sites. But again, sometimes that's not a reality. I'm trying to think of a movie that was kind of like that recently, where I had no choice. A Gaspar Noé film. I Stand Alone, I think it was called. I couldn't find that movie anywhere. My one friend, who's all about even more so than me, physical media, he said he couldn't even really track it down other than for it being like 30, $40. He wasn't going to spend that much. So that's a good example. I couldn't find the movie anywhere, but I wanted to watch all of Gaspar Noé's movies, so I found that. But again, that's like a prime example. Yes, that's all the questions. What I'll also do now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, is a little bit of updates. So I posted today my review for Halloween Kills, which, by the way, what a disappointment. Not a fan in the slightest. But I released that, and then The Last Duel, I filmed that review like 3 days ago. It's a little outdated already because I talked about like the box office and saying how I didn't think it was going to do well. I said like it's going to make like 5 million, which it made a little bit less. But I'll be posting that too, and then I have a review of The Lone Ranger to be posting. I collaborated with Anthony A. Perez, so I'll be posting that. I also need to post my review for Rango. Rango turns 10 this year, so it gave me a good excuse to finally sit down and review that. And then also another movie that turns 10 this year, Hugo, that will be released next month when it turns 10. And then Guillermo del Toro, I actually ranked his movies about a couple months ago, and I'm finally releasing that this Saturday. I was like looking, and I was like, oh man, I gotta release this soon because Nightmare Alley is coming out in like a couple months. So I was like, man, I gotta get on the ball with that. So I'll be releasing that again this week. And then on the pipeline, I also have other reviews. I have Shame 2011. When that turns 10, which is December, I'll be releasing that. And then also, let me look. Oh, my friend Marv, I helped him out with a short film. I'll be posting that one. I edited that one and I did star in it. I'm not as proud of it. Like I'm not as proud of I am with that one as I was with him with Eye for an Eye. But the fact that he went out there and he made a movie and it's 100% his, it's admirable. But I'm curious what people are gonna think. I mean, I was in the editing room and I was like, bro, I don't know. I was like, I don't know how to edit this. I really don't. This is like. Whew, we were missing stuff. So, but he directed that. He directed and he wrote that. And then let me see what else. The Leftovers. The Leftovers TV series review. I'll be releasing that soon. Christopher McQuarrie, his movies I still need to rank. I still need to release that ranking list. Bong Joon-ho, still need to release that one. Paul Greengrass. Those are all director ranking lists I filmed, just need to release. And then the same goes for, let me see. Okay, the same goes for Jeff Nichols. His films, I still need to release that. And then Baz Luhrmann and Alex Kendrick. They're also ranking list I still need to do. So those I'll be releasing again in the near future. And then obviously there'll be a lot of other reviews too that I'll be posting. There's also a couple clips that from Will Open Drive that I'll be releasing, just so that way if people want to watch like a certain scene, they can kind of like look at these clips as kind of like a guide for that. But yeah. Besides that, though, I mean everything looks up to date. I'll be reviewing Dune. Probably it will come out Thursday or Friday. The review. But yeah, I mean besides that though, I'm good to go. I hope I was able to answer everyone's questions and hopefully everyone enjoyed. But looks like there's only one other person in here. Does that one person have any questions before I'll obviously log out? The floor is yours. No other questions, guys? All right. Once again, guys, I'll be wrapping things up right now. Once again, I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone for watching. Not only that, just being subscribed. You guys are the best. 700 of you decided that you guys wanted to follow me, and honestly, I genuinely mean it when I say that. Like, I appreciate what you guys do. Love the conversations and everything. It's really much appreciated. But guys, again, thank you very much for watching. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later. And I will end the live stream now, and I'll catch you guys later.